Welcome back, adventurers. Gonna film another quick one here today about hero points and when to use them. I should say I'm only talking about the rules as written traditional hero points, which let you do two things. Let's talk about that. The first way you can use a hero point is to re-roll a d20. Now, these are only your rolls, so you can't say, oh, that enemy who crit succeeded on their reflex save, I want them to re-roll it. You can't do that. You also can't be the recipient of a critical hit from an enemy and say, I want them to re-roll their attack roll. So sorry, doesn't work that way. Only your rolls. But also, only your d20 rolls, which means if you hit something and then you roll really low damage on your d12, well, you're stuck with that. You can really only re-roll that initial attack. And then sort of the last caveat is you can't re-roll if you've already re-rolled. So you might have a spell or some other effect that allows you to re-roll a dice. If you've already done that and you don't like both results, sorry, you can't use a hero point for that third roll. You're stuck with one of those first two. The other way you can use hero points is to save yourself from dying, specifically when you would gain another stage of the dying condition. You can cash in all of your hero points to stabilize at 0 hit points. Okay, so finally to get to when to use them. Well, the first and most obvious and kind of simplest answer is at the end of a session. If you're playing rules as written, you get a hero point at the beginning of the session and it expires at the end of the session. So if it is 10:25, let's say, and you know you are playing until 10:30 and you are still engaged in combat and you miss, just use that hero point. You know, you're not going to need it in the next 5 minutes. You probably won't even finish the round in the next 5 minutes. Re-roll that, try to turn it into a hit, and try to end this encounter. I've definitely seen this used a fair amount where pretty much everyone is cashing in their hero point, maybe even multiple hero points in the last encounter. And yeah, it kind of turns it into a slaughter, but it's kind of nice because you take what might be another round or two of combat that might last another 30, 45 minutes. And because you're turning all of these misses into hits, you basically just end the encounter in the last 5 minutes of your session. That's really nice because then you get to move along and have like a nice fresh start for your next session. And it does keep the whole story moving forward. There are going to be more, but another really good time to use your hero point is when you critically fail any save. That's usually going to be bad, like really bad for you. I mean, maybe it's only like a fear effect and you will just be frightened 2 or something and shake it off. But usually, actually, if it is a fear effect, you will be frightened 3 and fleeing. You will literally run away from the battlefield. So re-rolling that literally will keep you in the fight and not running the opposite direction. Similarly, with like a damage based save, this is the difference between taking maybe like 40 points of damage or maybe just 20 if you upgrade to just a regular failure. That's typically going to be the difference between being totally down and out of the fight or maybe just still up with a few hit points. And who knows, you might even get a success or critical success after that. I think this is a really obvious time to use your hero point because you literally can't do worse. You've already critically failed. And that critical failure means such bad news for you usually that even if it's early in the session, it's a good time to use that hero point. Another key time to use a hero point is when you have everything stacked in your favor and you have a terrible number on the die. What I mean by this is, let's say you have moved into a flanking position. You are flanking an enemy who is frightened 2, and you have like a status effect from your bard, so you're going to be doing extra damage. So you've got like this, massive numeric advantage to land a strike, and then you roll a 1. You aren't going to have a better chance to crit and do huge damage than you are right at that moment. So re-roll it. Don't say, oh, miss. Well, I'll try again. Miss. Okay, yeah, I'm going to hero point that. Don't hero point the second one. That's going to suffer from the map attack, and it is just not going to be your best foot forward. So when you have everything stacked in your favor and you still come up short, that's a pretty good time to use that hero point. And then another really obvious time to use a hero point is, when you're dying. I would say specifically when you are dying and still in danger, as in you are taking some persistent damage in some way. And make sure to wait to use your hero point in this case. What I mean by that is if you get hit by something and you go to dying 1 and you have persistent damage on you, don't use your hero point quite yet. If you did, you risk stabilizing yourself, cashing in your hero point, taking persistent damage and going right back to dying, and then taking more persistent damage. And now you're just marching towards permadeath and you don't have a hero point to save you. If instead you wait, you let that persistent damage increase your dying value, you give your teammates some time to get you out of the jam, and you wait until you move to dying 4, and that's when you say, okay, I literally can't wait any longer. If I let this happen, I will face permadeath. Now I will use my hero points. You basically double the amount of rounds that you have before dying by using a hero point that way. All right, well, there we have it. Those are the times to use a hero point, in my opinion. End of the session, critically fail the save, everything stacked in your favor and you still miss, and then preventing yourself from dying. I mean, that's really the most powerful thing you can do. So I hope that helps. I know that hero points, how and when to use them, come up a lot. I play in a group that calls ourselves the Failed Hero Points because, let's face it, they're a bit finicky. But I think that by following those guidelines, you'll find that you can use them pretty successfully, hopefully. Except for all the times that I roll worse, on my hero point, which unfortunately is painfully often. Just painful. That's all, adventurers. If you have any other ideas about when to use hero points, let me know in the comments. I'm sure there's something I've overlooked. It's a complicated game. There's a lot going on. All right. Talk to you next time.